Liberia project. Liberia, Mama Liberia. Must all rise. Let's stand together to fight Corona. Uncertainty, no security, everything is possible. It could be your mama, your papa, brother and sister. Let's stand together to fight this deadly disease now. Walk on the world we live in, for the uncertainty, no security, everything is possible. It could be your mother, your father, even your sister. Let's stand together to fight this deadly disease now. From Asia to Europe,
Corona.
From Europe to America,
Corona.
America to Africa.
Corona.
Take precaution.
Corona.
You see, it could be your mama,
Corona.
your brother, sister, or father.
Corona.
Let's stand together,
Corona.
Mama Liberia.
Corona.
God bless Mama Liberia.
What a pleasant way to welcome you again today to another beautiful edition of the KMTV Morning Show on this bright Monday morning. Today is July 12, 2021. I am humbled to be here. Lots of things happening in the country, and it's upon us as young people to talk about those things and find ideas and solutions to some of the problems in making sure that Liberia can be a better place for all of us. This is the reason why we are here every Monday to Friday's morning and telling you those issues that are happening and how we can solve some of those ones as well. We called on those technocrats to give us their ideas and solutions, and those in government, if they listen, then it go well for us. If they don't, then we keep putting their feet to the fire. I am humbled to be here. My name is Amos Thomas Momo. This presentation promises to be very, very fascinating and interesting and educative as well, because we have a son of Liberia who's going to be our guest. He's a scientist. He's the former Deputy Director General for Technical Services at the National Public Health Institute of Liberia. Now he's in the United States of America, and he thinks it's necessary that he provide some of his expertise, his experience in the health field with this difficult situation we are in right now, the rebirth of the COVID-19. And there are lots of things happening surrounding how can Liberia adequately prevent herself from the virus. What are those necessary things Liberians needs to do? and he been in the field for couples of years now. He will be telling you exactly a little bit about himself. And we have him here this morning as our guest. We're there from the United States. Firstly, I want to say thanks so much for accepting the invite and waking up very early this morning. I'm optimistic that it's around 6 o'clock now in the United States. And he's our guest this morning. And basically, we're going to be looking at health-related issues, world of politics, talking and finding solution. Dr. Mosoka P. Fallah, a Liberian scientist, the former Deputy Director General for Technical Services at the Liberia National Public Health Institute, is our guest this morning. Dr. Fallah, good morning and thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Amos. Thank you very much. Just two quick corrections. I'm in West Africa. I'm not actually in the U.S.
Okay.
And also, the last position I held, I was Director General. Up to the time I was dismissed, I was Director General of MTO. So
Okay,
just
Director General.
so I
I'm so
was
sorry.
deputy and became director here until I left here.
Okay.
Just
All
to
right.
do this. But it's an honor. Thank you, Amos, for the opportunity to give to speak to this. Since I left Enfield, I've been working at different streams on this COVID virus, COVID outbreak in Africa, West Africa. I've been working on it. So it's an honor to come and share some of the knowledge with our people to help us, like you said, how do we improve and try to contain this recent upsurge in cases.
Okay. How's life been with you since you left Liberia?
Oh, it's been great, exciting. Got sure, I got dismissed on the second. On the fourth, I got an international job. First, it was a short-term consultancy on the fourth, and then after a few months, the guy extended to 1 to 4 years. So that is okay. Also, I've been working with a lot of collaborators around different universities, Boston, University of California. I still meeting my visiting position at Harvard, my visiting lectureship position at Harvard. Some of our students just recently graduated, some of the students that I work with. And also, I've been working with a group of Ebola veterans and some scientists from the world. We're trying to fight for equity to vaccines for Africa, Liberia, especially in other countries. So we've done a lot of work, international work, trying to build advocacy, publish papers that the only way Africa can be safe, Liberia, or other countries, is for them to have access to the vaccines. So that's some of my work, speaking around London School, the Bergen University in Norway. So it's a combination of a lot of speaking, advocacies, writing, and doing my work. So it's been great.
Now, I've been receiving couples of calls that, many persons been hearing about Dr. Fallah. You helped Liberia during the Ebola crisis. Later on, you left due to some reason. And they don't know who is Dr. Fallah. Can you just briefly tell us a little bit about yourself, your foundation from Liberia to where you are right now?
That's interesting. I was actually born in Grand Cape Mount at the mining concession, and then we moved to West Point, 78, 79, 80, 81. I was a kid growing up when the coup happened in West Point, and eventually my parents resettled in chicken soup factory. So I went to special project school, went on to swim mission, and then the University of Liberia, the medical school. But then I left. I had a scholarship to go to the U.S., and in the U.S. I went to Kent State first, and then I had a scholarship to Kent State through a friend of mine, Chris Topaz. Then I had a scholarship to go to University of Kentucky, where I spent 5.5 years studying to become a biomedical scientist. I was trying to find for streptococcus pneumonia. After I completed the University of Kentucky, I got a partial scholarship to go to Harvard. I got to Harvard to do global health, and I met my Nigerian friend who said, Mosoka, your background is in immunology and microbiology. I think it would be best if you did infectious disease epidemiology at Harvard. So at Harvard, I focused my study on infectious disease epidemiology. I didn't even know that was going to prepare me for my work with Ebola. And so I graduated from Harvard, got a part-time research assistantship with the Boston Medical School, Mass General, for working on a mental health problem. And then the guy saw my talent and connected me with Indiana University that had just won a big grant to help Liberia rebuild its human capacity. And so I got the job a consultancy with USAID and a visiting faculty position with Indiana University to come to Liberia for the first time after I left in 2004. I came back 2013. I did some work to implement the project. It was like 2.5. It was a $2.5 million project developing a public health technician program. The project was about to close when Ebola struck, and I decided to go back to Indiana. I said I was going to stay and work. So I stayed and helped my country. It wasn't a good experience. The university kept on postponing my plane ticket. When I went back to the States, Indiana could not accept me back because they said I was on the front line of Ebola, but I didn't mind because other opportunities came. I taught a course at MIT. One of my professors and I did a course at MIT. We wrote a textbook. And then I got invited to serve as a visiting faculty at Harvard. So it's been good. And then I got a job with NIH to work on the Review project when I got called to assist in the formation of MPhil. So well, Toba and I were the ones who wrote the whole strategic plan for MPhil. I traveled to Norway, Malaysia, and we came back and wrote the whole concept that led to the formation of MPhil. So that has been my academic sojourn. I continue doing the work as a scientist, writing, publishing, and building research collaboration around the world.
So interesting to know. Myself didn't know all of those ones, but I think now I know exactly who Dr. Fallah
I'm a
is.
West
Now,
Point boy. I'm a chicken soup factory boy.
the chicken soup factory boy is
Yeah,
not a scientist. I think is a
yeah,
welcome.
yeah, West Point boy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you.
Now, sir, you are now a scientist. You've been in the health field for a long time. You are a professor. At this difficult movement in Liberia, what you think should be the focus, the workings and proceedings of both the government, the Ministry of Health, and citizens of Liberia as we fight this rebirth of the virus?
Okay, the first and foremost thing we have to convince ourselves
Okay.
that what is happening, especially since June, is very abnormal and unusual. Until we can convince ourselves, the individual level, those in the response, that we are in an unusual time. What do I mean? You don't have to go far place. Just go to Facebook and stroll down Facebook. Nowadays, like when somebody wrote, you see more rest in peace than happy graduation.
So,
It's if you want to get real discouraged nowadays, it's just go to Facebook. It breaks my heart. And that's one. So people are dying at a rapid rate. The other one that is so interesting is that so disturbing is that sometimes you have two families. From the same house dying 1 week apart. I got two friends that are on Facebook. One of my friends, three person from their household died in 2 3 weeks. Two brothers died 2 weeks apart. Should not that tell us that something very, very alarming and unusual is happening? A friend of mine went to the cemetery to just take a document the cemetery, one of the cemetery in Johnsonville, and they sent me the video. There are almost 50 new graves were being dug for Saturday. A friend of mine called me and said they had a body from the church. One of the elders died at Abraham Rav. They could not afford to bury that day because the bodies were too many. Once bodies begin to increase and pile up, in infectious disease epidemiology or outbreak investigation, what we do, we compare the number of deaths at one moment and compare it to the following year. If you compare the number of deaths that are happening just in the community, those that we are not testing, you will really convince yourself that we are facing something very unusual. The death is increasing more than possible. And if you were to do a survey in Liberia and ask 10 Liberian people whether somebody from them have died or a relative or a friend, I'm very convinced out of 10 person, 3 or 4 person know a friend has a relative that have died. All of these should put it together to know that we are facing a very serious crisis. People are dying. So the first thing we have to realize, people are dying. Why should we allude that dying to? Death to we know is COVID. So now our country is under threat. The threat is our people are dying. Our people are dying every day. And that if nothing is done urgently, if nothing is done differently, the death will just continue to increase. That's one on the issue of death. We also know that in June alone, we reported 46% more cases than all the cases we have had since March. And every week the cases increases. What that mean? Every week that we have new cases increasing mean that those cases have contact. And every contact is a potential new case. And every new case is potential new contact. So basically, you have an exponential situation. The more cases you have, the more contact you generate, and this disease is respiratory, which means it spreads faster. And the bad thing about this is that the new variant, which I don't know yet whether we have it in Liberia, but all evidence have shown that a new variant can create more severe diseases, cause more death than normal, even in the US and everywhere, when I come to discuss the vaccine. So these two things, the number of cases we are seeing in June alone, the number of deaths we are seeing that are coming closer to home through our friends and relatives means that something unusual, bad, horrible is happening to our country, and it has to end. We have to find a way to end it. This is where I want to start from. If you accept that fact that no, this is threatening, it's happening to my friends and my relatives, I could be next or my relative could be next, then at the individual level, at the response level, we need to take some very aggressive measure to end the outbreak.
Now,
At the individual level, step one, okay, go ahead. I'll give you a chance. Go ahead.
no, now, okay, so now we understood now over the past time that this is horrible. It is creating a lot of fears among citizens. What are the necessary steps or engagement we need to get involved with?
Step one. We say in race communication, we don't put fear, we give people agency. So fear is a good thing to use. One, you are on the first step. Education and awareness, massive education and awareness, and like the media is a powerful tool. People need to accept the reality that a disease is in town that can kill them or kill their relative. That's the first information that you are helping us to do. This need to continue happening all radio stations in all languages at all times. This message to go that something unusual is happening. One, once people believe that, second thing now, what do they do at the individual level? At the individual level, there are a couple of things people can do. One, to prevent themselves. Two, if they become cases, potential cases, to protect others. That's what will happen at the individual level. How do we prevent ourselves? One, we need to ensure that we wear our masks all the time. Things can be normally coming from Banga when I on a radio station this morning and said they had a party and they all went to the party. We need to close down some of these activities. Number one, wearing masks all the time. Once you're with other people, wear your masks. When I say wear your mask, I don't mean wear the mask and put it on your nose and your mouth. When I say wear the mask, you see I have a bunch of masks. It's always in my bag. And I'm going to show you how we wear the mask.
Okay.
We wear the mask and cover our entire face. This is how we wear the mask. As long as you are with people, this is where you should wear your mask. That's your first protective defense. You must wear the mask. Wearing the mask is not like this. Wearing the mask is not like this. Wearing the mask is like this. As long as you're around people, that's the first step. It has been shown in New York, in Italy, all kind of have big outbreak before that. Effective wearing of the mask reduces the cases. That's the one. That one, even if we beat you, police who are in the street, the individual must know that we have a horrible situation, that they can be next, their relative can be next, so they must wear the mask and wear it properly. That's one. Number two, social distancing. Minimize group meetings, minimize association with people, minimize party, all this. And I'm going to say this. July 26th is coming very soon. Liberians are not going to think that we have a situation that we got to start our comfort. We got to start the parties and the groupings. That has to be done at the individual level.
Okay.
When we go to the banks, we need to institute measures where people are online. They tell one, hand washing all the time. Let's say you go to an ATM. Someone snitch on your hand and pledge the ATM, you go there, you go get it. They don't know. So wash your hands all the time. People need to bring back their washing bucket in front of their houses all the time. These are individual level decisions on the level of what? Preventing themselves. That's step one. That's individual level. Second thing is that if they become potential cases, they should try to protect others. How can they do that? Once you are sick and not feeling well, I always encourage my friends, go get yourself tested. Go and get yourself tested. These are individual level decisions. If all took it and all wearing our mask effectively, We're not foreign place will be great, but now at the response level, the first and foremost thing is that the policy have been released. I mean, number of people that can go to a funeral, they are closed down sporting event for spectators, and even pushing for closure of school. Anywhere, so the policy are good, they are in place. The number of people that should raka. Liberia, we are good at policy, but we need to ensure that those policies are enforced to the fullest. Those policies need to be enforced to the fullest. There can be no compromise. Nobody should enter any store that is not marked. No one should enter any drugstore that is not marked. No one should ride a car. We need to ensure that at the policy level that happens. Also, if possible, the government should reduce the number of staff working right now. So other people can work from home or reduce the staff. Like, for example, I do all my work from home right now, all my international work. Let people reduce the number of staff. That policy, that one need to be enforced. That need to be enforced. Government officials, people in government need to set example by wearing their masks in the public. That's the issue of the policy for social distancing, for mask wearing and social distancing. That needs to happen. All government entities should have hand washing. That's very critical. That's the issue on the social distancing. But there are other areas we can do for protection. One of the things that we know from is that when we get sick, we either go to 4 places. We go to hospital, we go to clinics, we go to drugstore, or we go to traditional healer, or we go for prayer. We need to identify those places and work with those people and give them the training. Like in the US now, Walmart has a sheet. They ask questions before you enter, all their staff. If you say yes to this, go for your test. People get sick, they hardly go to hospital first. We need to engage these people that when people get sick and come to them, they must refer these people for testing. Train them how to triage. Because the sick people will end up in those places and they will infect those places. So that's the thing. Once we have built the demand for testing, when you are not feeling well, after we do that, we give enough awareness to people. If you're not well, come for testing. What that means is that we have created demand ready for testing. What we need to do better, and I try to avoid politics, but I have to say this, is that we're not doing good with testing. We're not doing good with testing. We got to ramp up our testing. I understand the limitation and the stress, but we need to ramp up our capacity to test, because they'll tell you that the 3 things that control COVID is to say testing, tracing, and treatment. Because if we give awareness to the individual, if you say go for test, if we tell the drugstore when someone's sick, let them go for test. If we tell the churches someone's sick before they come for prayer, let them go for test. If you tell the hospital to do that, then we need to provide the testing. But I agree that there are challenges. The first challenge is that the PCR alone is time consuming. It takes around 8 to 10 hours to get a result. So we need to supplement that with gene expert. And we had a gene expert that we used before during the Ebola crisis. They are still in the country and they get put at a train. What we need is to invest a lot of money. I'm asking the government to invest a lot of money to buy lots and lots of cartridges and then deploy them all around maybe most of our country. We can divide it into 4 testing centers and have people working 24 hours. So when people suspect that they are sick, let them have their result. I have many friends that I've sent for testing. They go and get their result. It takes 10, 12 days, they don't have their result. And those people tend to walk around because they're not too sure what's happening to them. They go to clinics. Those people are potential sources. We need to invest and ramp up our testing. As I said, we can do gene expert, we can add. Other thing we can do is the rapid diagnostic test. The rapid diagnostic test has gotten better. Especially the antigen rapid test. That one take around 15 to 20 minutes to get a result. What they have shown is that except when someone is early in the infection, they can't pick up. But if you do repeated testing, you will pick it up. So people that go to those clinics, those prayer houses, we can set up testing for rapid diagnostic tests. That's the other thing we need to do. So testing, as we create demand to people, as we educate them, when you're not well, determine your result, then we need to provide testing that is closer and easier to routine. This is where the government need to really try, really appeal to get more rapid testing, more gene expert, more increase in the testing center, get more people working 24 hours a day, because the more people you can test and know those are the true positive, those ones who are not seriously sick and their family can get quarantine at home and you give them basic education. But if you're not testing, like one of my friends who are told, they end up going to 2 clinics, went to a hospital before I got their result. I had to be calling every night. By that time, they are already traveled to 2 clinics. No one knows how much the people in the clinic were protecting themselves. So testing, as we educate the people, the government must ensure that we invest in testing. The next thing under the testing is that we should ensure that we protect the other counties. Because in Mosoka now we know 82% of the cases are in Mosoka, which means all the places that can, that people will go to the counties. Let's set up places for rapid testing. Before you leave, most of you get your test done at maybe Mount Barkley, for instance, and maybe Kennedy or somewhere around there. Before you leave to travel out of town, you get tested. What that would do for us is that then the people that are potential will carry cases in the county, we know them. If we don't do that, the tension we're having in most of with the cases, imagine we get 4-5 county with that kind of huge case, it gets a lot difficult to control because it means you're fighting battle on multiple fronts. So the testing, contact tracing is not working well. I have to say this. And the way I'm not speaking from this, I'm speaking from evidence. Because I'm sending people in the background to go for tests. The people will get a result, the result will be positive. They get a call on the phone and say, oh, you're positive, stay home. But nobody follow up on them again. That's not what we do with Ebola. Contact tracing is a relationship thing. Most of the time, the first time you give the person a result, they are in denial. You have to follow up by repeatedly calling the person. In the morning you check and in the evening you check. Nowadays with social media, you can use WhatsApp and check on them and call them. As you build relationship, they'll begin to tell you their contacts. Because every contact is a potential new case. But if you give the person his result and don't care to go back and follow up until the person stay by themselves, a human being, if they're not feeling well, they walk around, no one there to check on them. This is why we need to bring the communities together. Let's say in Chicken Soup Factory, there are 5 blacks. We have the black leader with us. When someone is spotted in the particular black, we give them a result and tell the community leader, please check on this person every day for that 14 days to show that they are home, the family is home. Once we guarantee them, we give them food. We got to do that, but right now people are left on their own. And we all do know human behavior. To live all by themselves is not easy. Those are 2 areas we really got to strengthen. There is a weakness in that area, and I really pray that we intensify our contact tracing. Even if we can't go, we can call and we can work with the local community leaders, work with them, empower them so that people can be home and these people can be followed up every day. Then they will give out what the contacts are. Let me say the key word. Every contact is a potential new case. Every new case spread a disease. So that's an issue that I think we need to invest in more and more. The health promotion piece, working with hospitals and clinics, testing, and treatment. The good thing about COVID is that now everyone will get seriously sick. Some people can be at home. Now, if you have a community group, maybe you have a community group to check on those that are positive, checking on them every day, you can ask one of the community nurses there to see. So when the symptoms getting severe, then you move them to the treatment unit. People can stay at home, the family quarantine, and then you're thinking about providing them with food. So let's just say someone is positive in this house or somebody died among the family. Let that group quarantine themselves, and while you're investigating, give them food. Those will be the way we keep the outbreak within family and not spread it further. But the testing, the tracing needs to improve, and the use of the local community resources. That's what we did with Ebola. We use local community leaders because you don't have resources to pay someone to say leave from Ministry of Health and go all the way to Nuclear Town. But there are people in Nuclear Town, in West Point, that you can mobilize. They are closer home. They just wake up in the morning and check on these people. We have to adapt those kind of procedure to make an effective change. And above all, health promotion. I will come on the vaccine issue, but those are the key issues I thought to bring up. If you have questions, you can ask me.
Yeah, so what are some of the root cause you think from your field of study increasing cases? Is this from people coming in from the airport, borders open, or with ourselves as Liberia not willing to understand that this is real and we have to follow all of the precautionary measures?
The current war outbreak with upsurge, I think, are due to four reasons.
Okay.
One of the reasons is that our people relaxed and decided to gather together. A lot of social gathering were going on. People after March, April, May, June, people say, well, we don't have many cases, so we started meeting for sporting events. Larger people meeting together as one. Also at the airport testing, we're testing people that were leaving, that were coming, which was a good thing. But my question is, how many of those that were traveling outside who got positive, we went back to their community to investigate and quarantine? That was something that we didn't do effectively. So people, because in between, if you had a report, even while we were having fewer cases, we're still having cases every now and then. Most of those cases were the travelers. So imagine how many persons travel, maybe less than 5% of Liberian travel. If you're able to find cases among 5% travelers who are healthy, that should signal to you that, oh, maybe something is going on in the community, I need to check. One thing we did not go aggressively after we pick up some travelers who were positive. We were reporting about we should have gone back to the root cause and say, oh, cases are circulating. Because remember, a traveler will likely be healthy. He came in for a visit and he's leaving. And if we pick him up when he's positive before leaving the country, we should go back to the place and investigate all where he traveled. That guy relaxed a little bit. Incoming travelers, there was a little bit of concern that incoming travelers will come and give that specimen, they will not get that result back. And so these people go back and live in our community.
We are having a little internet problem, but just hoping that we can get back on.
We had the issue of the virus itself, the Delta virus. We don't know whether in Liberia, but it's in Ghana. Nigeria confirmed it. Africa Coast has confirmed it. It's in 99 countries now. And we do know around the time that the Delta started in India with that big outbreak.
Yeah.
So every time there's a big outbreak, you have a variant.
Okay.
And some Indian came into Liberia. However, to track them and follow them upon their arrival effectively, it likely could be also. So we have a factor now happening.
Yeah.
People are relaxed, large social gathering, potential cases missing among people, and those cases that we pick up, we did not follow, investigate them to the bottom. And so all those factors added together, and we have this big explosion. In fact, months ago, I was at a conference with Uganda, other countries, and I brought it out. I said, right now, what we're doing is that we're only testing airport. That is all around Africa. Because of limited resources, we are not testing in the community to know what happening in the community. And the expression I used at that meeting with a Canadian group was, what we may be seeing across Africa may be the tip of the iceberg. There may be underlying transmission going on, but we are not testing community to investigate. So that's why all of this has come together now to haunt us in Africa with about 21 countries going through what Liberia is going through right now.
We have this morning as our guest Dr. Mosoka Fallah, the former Director General of the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, NPHIL, and a Liberian scientist. He's our guest this morning. We're talking health-related issues, and he giving us lots of education, finding solutions, and giving out his expertise to Liberia, in particular the Ministry of Health, in making sure that Liberia can remain safe, and those ways in which Liberians can go about saving themselves in this difficult time against the COVID-19. Dr. Fallah, this is very scary, right? To the extent that myself, I would say that I'm a bit afraid, though I managed to do it, but it was a huge task for me. There is this vaccine that is administered in Liberia. I think it's the AstraZeneca vaccine or so. And
Yes.
many Liberians are very, very afraid of the vaccine on grounds that once they come from the initial stage, they will say the COVID-19 is not natural, it's a man-made viral. And so the vaccine is also intended to have lots of cases coming in. What's your take on the vaccine that is administered in Liberia, firstly?
I don't know how to say this is a very important. So the issue of vaccine. So I just spoke all the what we call non-pharmaceutical approach. Everything I was explaining here to you as protective measures from the government and at the individual, we call that non-pharmaceutical, which means it does not involve drugs. It depends on human behavior, the one about masks, hand washing, social gathering. Now, the key issue is the issue of vaccines. This one I was just doing a research. We got two issues with the vaccine. One is access and one is hesitancy. When I say access, it means Africa still has a challenge getting adequate. Liberia only got 96,000 with 4.5 million. Ghana got 600 million with 600,000 with 31 million people. So it's limited. But even the vaccine that came, there is so much anti-vaccine group that is lying the vaccine. But let me give you some facts this morning. Let's start with the US before I come to Liberia. In June alone, 90% of all those that died in June were those who refused to get vaccinated in the US. 90% of people who die in the month of June from the new wave of Delta were those who refused to get vaccinated. In the US, there are states that only have 30% vaccine coverage, and those are the states that are having the highest number of cases. The US alone has been able to vaccinate 160 million Americans, almost half of the population. That is the US alone. The other data I want to give you is that as I speak to you right now, as of July 9, 3.35 billion people have been vaccinated. In the world, the whole world is about 7.9 billion people, our entire planet, 7.9 billion. Of that 7.9 billion, 3.35 billion people have received the vaccine. So I just want people to know that now you need to Liberia that 44% of the world has received the vaccine.
Yeah.
Now let's discuss AstraZeneca. So there is this lot of misinformation that are going on. Some of them we can verify. I gave you an example. One of my friends, a journalist, sent me a video recording where they show that the vaccine has microchip, and the person showed that they had a key and the magnet that they put the key on that where the vaccine site, and the key got stuck and the magnet got stuck. And he wrote me, he was very hysterical. I told him, I said, brother, the other one is very easy to verify. Find where go the Ministry of Health immunization program. Find 15 of those who got vaccinated and put a key on them. See where the key will stick. But there's a whole group that are so much against the vaccine and creating all kind of rumor. One, it is the 666. Two, they will die in the one. But let's start first. Do the people have to give a vaccine to give her the 666? Before COVID vaccine, every day we took our children for vaccine. All of us are getting vaccine. If the people want to give us 666, why they got to wait for COVID? But having said that, let's look at the facts that support AstraZeneca. Let's look at the facts in all vaccine. One, I said it last time, the European Union was able to take the manufacturer of the vaccine, AstraZeneca, to the European Commission court in Belgium. They took them to court. They said that they put in order for 120 million doses, and the factory was delaying. The European Union was demanding for the vaccine. When they went to court, the court told them, the company said the demand is very high. What they can give them, they will give them 80 million doses between July and September. Now, let's be logical. If this vaccine is as bad as we are claiming, why would the European Union, all the European Union will agree and take the factory to court? We need a vaccine. That's one thing I want you to see.
Okay.
I think African like themselves more than the European. Number two, most of the vaccine that came to Liberia, to Ghana, under the COVAX platform, were manufactured in India. India was the one manufacturing the vaccine. AstraZeneca. When the outbreak got big in India, you know what India did? India told WHO we can no more get the vaccine because we'll get fire in our house. We are taking our own house. India stopped exporting the vaccine to other countries. India used the same AstraZeneca that came to us, and were able to use that vaccine and were able to reduce. Today, the outbreak in India is going down because of vaccine. Let me say this one again. The only way we're going to end the outbreak is the evidence are there, whether it is in Israel or in the US. The one ultimate way we're going to end this outbreak is going to be vaccine. Nothing more. Otherwise, we'll be in the circle. And the evidence I just told you in the US, those that refuse to get vaccinated, 90% of them are the ones who have died. In Israel, people get sick, but they don't die. So I give you two evidence. The third one, the AstraZeneca vaccine that was produced by Oxford, underwent clinical trial. It got approved. They didn't just get up one morning and say, the European Medicine Agency is an agency for all European Union that approve all drugs and vaccines. They review it and they agree for the vaccine to be used, what we call emergency use authorization, which means they benefit far better than the risks. Not only that, we do know that every drugs that come to our country, every drugs we get, even the chloroquine we take, it gets approved by WHO, what we call essential medicine. The WHO have a group they call the Strategic Advisory Group on Vaccines. The SAGE group, the Strategic Group of Experts, the SAGE group. The SAGE group met and reviewed all of the data, and they proved that the vaccine should be released for Africa. And I sat down before on the SAGE group. The SAGE group, they're not weapon meeting. The SAGE group, one time I was in Geneva, I was invited to speak about the Ebola vaccine to go to DRC. I was called, somebody from DRC was called, Ghana was called. So it's expert, they bring all around the world. And you all sit down around the conference table and you all look at the data one by one. When I was in Geneva that year for the meeting, I think that was 2 years ago, There were almost 5, 6 vaccine candidates. Which one should go to Congo? We all agree that the Ebola vaccine should be agreed, and that we're using Liberia. So what am I saying? The SAGE group is the most reliable group that review the data, and they approve of the AstraZeneca to come to us. So basically, and I took the AstraZeneca, right? So basically, the idea about this vaccine, anti-vaccine group is not true. One, I've given you evidences of other countries that when you vaccinate, you get more protection. If you don't vaccinate, you stand a risk of dying or being very sick. What they have established is that the vaccine may not 100% protect you from getting the disease, but it's not giving severe disease, when you get sick or the death rate don't increase. In fact, when the WHO group reviewed the vaccine and agreed, they have prioritized people that they should vaccinate. They agree for the healthcare workers. They agree for those that the old people. They agree for those with high blood pressure, diabetic, and breathing problem. If you look at the death in Liberia, just looking, you realize our old people are dying more. Those with high blood pressure, those that are big headed are the ones dying more. These are the people that need to be prioritized if we're going to reduce our death rate. And that's what's been happening. Other countries that have given these people the vaccines have seen that the death rate goes down. But I will agree there is a big effort against vaccines around the world. But clearly, countries that have used vaccine, Israel reduced privileges. If you don't have your vaccine, you will not ride the bus, you will not go to public places. Israel ought to go 60 to 80%. Today, Israel is doing better than most countries, even within the US. Areas that have 50% or more vaccine are doing far better than areas that have 30%. We show that the vaccine indeed protects.
So let's look at side effect. Is there any side effect when you are done with the vaccine?
Very brilliant question. Very brilliant. You know, I'm an immunologist by training, so I studied vaccine. All vaccine must have a side effect, like all drugs. But the question is, how severe is that side effect? One of them being that the site of the place, when I took it 1 or 2 days, I'm feeling pain here. Right? There may be pain, there may be weaknesses. Some people complain weaknesses. What most countries will do, like what the American CDC have been doing, American CDC has given over 300 million doses, but 160 million people have gotten the 2 doses. They have what we call post-vaccine adverse effect immunization group that will track everyone that received the vaccines. Everyone. They have seen that, and we call that adverse effect, that your pin hear you, like me, my pin hear me, allow them for 1 or 2 days. All vaccine can do that. Because for the vaccine to work, it must cause something to happen in your body. That pain you're getting is the way it causes inflammation and how vaccine works. But that's mild. But there have been reported cases like India were able to vaccinate around 40 million persons. 40 million persons. The source death only is 0.004%. But even those people they investigated were unrelated to the vaccine. What we can do to so yes, there are mass effect. Some people get sicker, but in all vaccines that we use in the world, there is a few exceptions. But what they showed in India was the most serious side effect was about 0.004%. Very minute, which means every 100,000, 1 million person you get 4 person, which was a very minute person that have severe effect. That's what they have shown. But in the general public, it's just the madness of the people. But to solve this problem again, that's very simple. We have given around 80,000 of this vaccine. All we need to do in Liberia with the Ministry of Health and the immunization program, we track those people and ask them questions and let the public to see. But all the side effects are very minimal. Okay. But what we can do to reinforce and counter this wrong information is to have the EPR program, the Ministry of Health, to follow up on all the people that receive the vaccine, get some of them to give testimony, like I'm giving testimony today that I've taken the vaccine and I have high blood pressure. I've taken the vaccine more than 3 weeks ago. We need to have most other people coming up and giving testimony so that people can have that feel elite. We need to, one of the strategies that we recommend to the government, they say that the best way to pass message is by word of mouth. Let get some of the people that have taken the vaccine, the older people, the young people, let them come up and share. Yeah, are you asking me that one time I recommend the ministry does. Some of those are taking the vaccine, let them come and give testimony that I'm up, I had this condition, I'm doing fine. That alone will help to allay the fear and some of these rumors that are going on.
A Liberian scientist, Dr. Mosoka Fallah, is our guest this morning on the show. And you can also join us if you have an input to make. You can call us on 0775271672, 0775271672, and 0886-449850, 0886-449850. And if you're out of Liberia, you call on +231 775 271672 and +231 886-449850. You will be live on the show here this morning. My name is Amos Thomas Momo, and I have as our guest Dr. Mosoka Fallah this morning. Just a review of your comments coming in. This is from Janice. She said the World Health Organization has many free online classes, including contact tracing. I took a couple just for information. The classes I took were represented. And she said again, during Ebola crisis, tribal elders were consulted, and the elders were able to convince their communities of what to do during the crisis. Anything similar now with COVID? That's what she asking. She said during the COVID-19, the Ebola crisis, elders, traditional leaders were convinced and consulted, to go back to their community and engage their community by explaining in their local vernacular, their local language, on the way they can prevent themselves from Ebola. Is it the same with the COVID? And this person coming in, let's get this person quickly as we go about getting more and more callers coming in. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. This is Dr. Rockefeller Cooper. How are you?
Wow. Good to have you, Dr. Rockefeller Cooper. He was one of our guests here on the show, and he's on the line. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's get you.
Yeah, so I have a few questions for Dr. Fallah. Now, you lastly spoke about the vaccines. I know previously you spoke about home remedies that could be implemented, and I'm in full agreement with you. But now, my issue of concern here, or issues of concern, happens to do with the vaccine. Now, let's look at Liberia in particular. You've already stated that there could be different outcomes from being exposed to the vaccine. Again, as you rightfully mentioned, some people will get sick, some people will not get sick at all, which I believe you are alluding to the outcome of protections, because there are different variables, which of course, in addition to some people getting sick, some people not getting sick at all, some people will also die. So with these variables in mind, and looking at a country like Liberia, what would be your opinion on the current situation, as in the lack of vaccines to implement the second dose? I would like for you to please respond to this, and then I will come forth with the second component so that the listeners will be able to connect between the questions and answers.
Okay.
Thank you
So
very
Dr.
much.
Fallah, you listen to me, right?
Very well.
Okay.
So, like you said, even and Akuba knows this well. I have seen in the background that even in the US, we have clinical trial 1, 2, and 3. When all drugs are released, they go call pharmacovigilance. They call it clinical trial number 4. Even if they release a new drug, they will still, even they get approval for use in the public, they get people that that follow that vaccine to see if they are, because there's always a small
Hello?
population.
Yeah,
Hello.
Dr. Cooper,
Yes, I'm here.
he's responding, but it's like you will not get us through the phone. So maybe
Okay.
you could go and come back later. So maybe you could go listen to his response and come back with another question if you think you want to ask
Sure.
another. Okay. Yes, Dr.
So,
Fallah.
like I was saying, that in every drug that is produced, even after they finally do the final clinical trial and approval, there is a clinical trial phase 4 that many people don't know, that does what we call pharmacovigilance. Because there is a group of human beings we call pharmacogenomics. There are a group of people, because of the way we are made, there's a small population that a drug will have more. If you're talking about all drugs, whether it's for heart or alternate, doing the miracle a lot, they follow the drugs and see, even though you have gone through phase 3 trial, FDA approval, But they know that as a cross spreading the population, there will be a small minute portion that might have side effect. That's one. But when we look at, like I told you, that when WHO and the EMA met, they look at what we call the rates to benefit. They realize the benefit is extremely high. Like I told you, 0.004% of side effect. That's far better. If you took the Liberia population, you take 0.04%, it's like 100 or 200%. Looking at the benefit of the protection, that's one. And all vaccines, all drugs have many side effects and will vary, but the overall good of the population, under the normal population, is that everyone benefit with one or two exceptions. And so what have the US CDC done? They have tracked every vaccine, and they concluded that the protection from severe illness, if you took 2 doses, 99%. They show that of all the 160 million people that have been fully immunized, 3,000 to 5,000 percent have severe effect, which will happen in all vaccines for that matter. Some people, because their condition, what else they have done before they took the vaccine, could affect them. Having said that, the issue of the second dose is very critical because they have shown that we get what we call priming. Whenever we give vaccine, we are introducing to the disease, but at a lower load, so your body can, I'm not speaking the lower term, your body can protect itself by raising the army. When the dose come now, it increases higher. But what was shown in Great Britain, that if you have limited vaccines, you can make do and give a larger population one dose. It's better to give 1 dose because it means that the population have some level of protection. That's 1. 2, our attempt to give single second dose is good and it's all right. But if people are not going to come for that second dose, instead of the vaccine expiring, it's best to give the people to get 1 dose. That's 1. WHO are giving the room for the second dose, but there are new studies that have shown that the longer the second dose takes, the more the protection, even up to 3 months. They have shown that. But my point is, we have every country have to come up with a rule for the second dose, WHO said. But don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. If people also will take their second dose and not coming in, other people want their first dose, because we know that the first dose gives some low level protection. Second dose increases more. But it's better to get more people at least getting some protection than to get more people vulnerable. So that's one of my stronger recommendations. People come for the second dose and not coming, and the expiry date is coming. People are going online wanting vaccine. Let everyone have 1 dose. At least it's better than having the vaccine to expire. So I hope I addressed Mr. Dr. Cooper's question. And if you heard me speaking about the first question, I told you about the communities. That's why I was speaking to what the young ladies, the person said, the person that wrote, that at the end of the day, Ebola, the only way we won Ebola was with community. That's why I said to you, I said, we need to get the community leaders involved. Because we may not have the resources to follow everyone, but if the community leaders are recruited and are given simple training, so that if someone is positive in my community and I'm a community leader, that person follow that person to see that the person is staying at home, the person have their needs met. That's a resource we have. People trust people they know. People trust people that have similar culture and language. That will help us to win when we're back or when we mobilize the communities. That's going to be the religious leader, the traditional leader. Those people, we need to invest in them. So I agree with this person 100%. I was on the forefront doing that, organizing communities in areas where there were resistance, like West Point, they put out Fort Police. We went back, we brought the community leaders together, we brought the religious leaders together, and those people help us to trace all those that looted the things from that ransacked the place. We're able to work with the community leader to find the generator, to find the contact, because the community leader was taking the lead. We need to take that same method and say, in the event of low resources, the community leaders, the traditional leaders, are going to be our people that will ensure that when someone is confirmed, they and their family can be at home. So I thought I'd address the 2 issues here.
Dr. Fallah, do you think 1 dose of the vaccine is okay to protect you from the virus?
Let me repeat myself. You need two doses to get 100% protection, right?
Okay.
My point is that 1 dose gives you some. My point is, if someone who's, let's just say I saw come for my vaccine, my second dose on the 13th of July, but it's not to come. I'm afraid to go for second dose because of rumor. But the vaccine is already expire on the 20th of July. I would rather give that vaccine to somebody else because at least 1 dose gives some protection. Full protection requires 2 doses. But if people are resisting to come for their second doses and the vaccines are available and the expiry date appearing, let's give it more because, let me repeat myself, 1 dose gives some level of second dose increases to maximum. So I'd rather have 10 persons with some level of protection, you see, than to have 20 vaccines go to waste because the people need a second dose and not coming for their vaccines.
Okay. Now, I know this question may sound a bit laughable, but is the vaccine responsible to stop an individual from contracting the virus?
That's one of the best questions you have ever asked. It's not laughable. What the data has shown in some people, the vaccine may not stop you, especially the new strain of the Delta variant. The vaccine, and let me repeat, in some people, the vaccine may not stop you from getting the virus. The vaccine in some people. So WHO say with it, especially with new variant. So what they have, but what has been clearly demonstrated in science, whether it's in Asia or in the US, those that get the vaccine, even if they come down, it will be a mild symptom. They can stay home and manage it. Those that get the vaccine, if they contact it will be a mild symptom. But those, and I said to you, for example, in the month of June, other people in America got the vaccine and got it, but it was mild symptom. Those who did not get it, 90% of those who are dying are among those that did not get any vaccine. So the WHO says, wear your vaccine because with the new strain, you may get it, but your symptom will be mild. So your best weapon is to get the 2 vaccines. But if you don't get it, then the duration of the sickness increases, your chances of dying increases, your chance of being able to last increases without the vaccines.
Okay. Now, Ju is asking, I don't know as to what I'm pronouncing your name well. He said, I should please ask you as to what good will it do if the general public, he's asking as to what good will it do to the general public if government officials do their vaccine in the glare of the public. We also, give more.
Very, very important. President Dr. Tony Fauci, advisor to President Biden, took a vaccine and made it public. You seen it with Joe Biden and Harris. It's symbolic. Leadership is symbolic. Once a leader is a leader, it's symbolic. Even in the town, when the decision won't follow. So government officials, and those are all that are prominent. You think why is it every time I stand to speak of the vaccine, I say to you, I have taken the vaccine. So people know right now what I'm saying is a reality. So official, I know the minister, and they've been doing it. The minister of Dalajala took the vaccine. Other officials have seen them doing it. Whenever they do it, they put it on Facebook. I've taken the vaccine. That's a very critical thing to do. You send a message, say, "Oh yes." So it sort of reinforces the confidence in the people because when people look to us for authority, if I told you all about this vaccine and you ask me now, and I tell you I'm not taking the vaccine, what will you think about me? But now I'm telling you I took the vaccine. So it's a good symbol that helps to mobilize the people to trust the vaccine. And they have shown that in the US, they recruited musical stars, they recruited famous people because, the minorities, the Latino and the Black American were not taking the vaccine. They went for famous stars to take the vaccine and get testimony. Even when we're launching the Ebola vaccine in Liberia, in some communities, when we had disease resistance, we asked the local community leader to take the vaccine and give testimony. That's a way to really accelerate this. Identifying government officials taking the vaccine and publicly speaking about it is one good way we know that tend to increase the vaccine acceptance.
Will you be willing, if you are called upon, to come and serve Liberia again? Sir, are you there?
That statement, a drop. I didn't get it. Will I be willing to what?
To come and help Liberia in this difficult time once more.
I'm already doing it remotely. I'm doing it right now. I'm working. I've reached out to many persons.
Okay,
I did
just
a play
hold on.
recently.
Sir, just hold on. Let me get this person and listen to them quickly. Hello?
Okay. Yes, hello. This is Dr. Cooper calling again.
Okay, Dr. Cooper, quickly. Yeah, Dr. Cooper, go ahead.
Yes, this is Dr. Cooper calling again. So, yes, I listened to Dr. Fallah's response, which is on point, but not. Yes, can you hear me?
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. So, yeah, so basically, my concern here now has to do with revaccination. Okay, I don't know. I would like to know what is his opinion on this, because as he rightfully stated, okay, I know you are asked the question, which is a very important question, though you thought it was laughable, but people who were given the first dose in abundance, yes, they were exposed to, to the agent so that they could develop a form of resistance. Now, if they develop mild symptoms, as as stated by Dr. Fallah, which of course it won't be as severe as not having any vaccines at all or receiving the vaccines at all. Well, we cross-reference that with Liberia, a country where now people receive the first dosages. Some people have not taken anything at all, and some people also in the third category still don't believe that they should take the vaccines. Don't you think that, one, it will be very important, given the fact that, with the lapse now, let me go into immunology a little bit. If we were to focus on the IgM and IgG titers, which I believe you spoke on indirectly when you talk about the boost, don't you think that given the situation with Liberia, it will be very important, given the lapse as well, that those who receive their first dose, say, let's say in the month of May, if it happens that the second dosages of AstraZeneca does not arrive in country till, let's say, maybe, who knows, maybe the end of August or September, to just go ahead and take the other, to go ahead and to restart the process. Reason being is there's a possibility that the IgM titers would have dropped, and since it is also impossible to determine the rate of drop in IgM for everyone, that will be my question. And the next question is, if AstraZeneca was not coming to Liberia, but let's say, for example, Pfizer or Moderna, don't you think that people should not consider it as a second dose? Reason being, and you and I both know that those vaccines, when they were being produced, they all account, they account for different peptides. So it should not be considered, because if you consider the second dose to be, the second shot from a different vaccine to be a second dose, you will actually be wrong, because we can argue from an immunological standpoint of view that individuals would then be receiving two first doses based on the mechanism of the vaccine, meaning they are receiving IgM twice. I would like for you to please elaborate on this.
Okay. Dr. Fallah.
So, just for a correction, I'm an immunologist by training. For 5.5 years. Nothing I did, I studied vaccines. So I want to deal with this step by step. And I don't want to be most scientific, because not to bring my science in, but the issue of IgM and IgG, that's what we call class switch recombination. We call it class recombination. It's an technique. When you have engaged in the process, the first immune response you produce is the IgM. After a while, we call class switch. I can go deeper into the. I will not go to that. I try my best not to do that. So let me be as realistic as possible. Let me estimate a test conducted between AstraZeneca and Pfizer, and it shows that it gave even greater boost. I was sending the paper right now. I said it was conducted between, you gave AstraZeneca first, followed by Pfizer. In fact, the immune response is even more robust. All of these vaccines we've developed are against the spike protein. The vaccines that are currently developed are against the spike protein. The Johnson & Johnson is an adenovirus, and I can explain that a little because I have this on work with the Ebola virus vaccine. And the Pfizer and Moderna mRNA virus, all it simply means, which I don't want to go into, we bypass the issue of replication, DNA replication and messenger RNA, and we send the vaccine with the protein latched to it to go into the ribosome. I'm trying my best to go into deeper science, but let me just be as simplistic as possible. This study have shown, and I'll forward to Dr. Cooper, that if you mix Pfizer and AstraZeneca, it gives you more robust vaccine. That's one. The chief scientist of WHO has said that even if you go up to 3 months between the vaccine, the robust, and I will send those to you so you can put them up, Amos.
Okay.
The chief scientist of the WHO said, though we're giving people for window to work with, but there are evidence and scientific findings that have shown that if you went up to 3 months, you produce an even more robust response. So these are scientific evidence that clearly established. I have the people right now. If I hear is this article, because I get most of the article that Tony Fauci gets from the US. I'm on this the guy. I get this article come to me every day, every moment. There's the article I was sent to you that clearly show for study that if you mix AstraZeneca and AstraZeneca and Pfizer, you have a bigger robust response. In fact, we call synergistic effect. That's one. Number two, the chief scientists have shown that we should work within the guideline the country set, but they have shown that up to 3 months, in fact, you get a much more robust response if you delay. So to come down to the typical Liberian, one, let's assume that people took their first vaccine will run out, and the second vaccine come in August. They don't say because I have 4 weeks window, I can take the second dose, I got to start over. No way. It's still a second dose, and the studies are there. I will release it to you to give to the public. It's established by who? The chief scientists of WHO. They show that up to 3. In fact, if you go to the WHO website, they call question and answer on the vaccine. It is there clearly written that if you went longer, they say to you, work with your country regulation, but we have shown that if you go up to 3 months, you produce a robust response. And secondly, I've just shown you, and I'll send to you, Amos, said I've shown that you can make at least Pfizer and AstraZeneca and get better response.
Okay.
So all of this is saying that suppose the US government were to give us Pfizer tomorrow. Those that took the first vaccine can take Pfizer from the study we have right now, and we have robust response. That's one. Why if we got delaying getting AstraZeneca, later on we got the AstraZeneca, more than 4 weeks or 2 months later on, we can still give it because the evidences are there, and that's why we as scientists are there to look at the literature and advise our government. And I will make this available to the public to see.
Okay, sir. It has been a great movement here, a great conversation, very friendly. I was asking as to whether if you were called by this government to come and serve Liberians again or Liberia, are you waiting?
Right now, as I'm speaking to you, I'm still supporting in many, many ways. As I'm speaking to you, my team that helped with Ebola is now meeting with some people today to see how we can use some of the strategy we use from Ebola. Because what we have done is that we have mapped out the whole of Mosoka County. That's what we should do with Ebola. We map out Mosoka County, and we realize that 71% of all the cases in Mosoka are in 2 districts: Central Monrovia and Commonwealth, that's the entire single belt and the Yerebe belt. We also have gone deeper into the analysis and show that there are 20 communities that are hotspots. Those all 71 cases. So now we have an intervention applying Ebola technique to go to the community to mobilize the local leaders, work with them to. So that's what I've been doing all night long. I said to the team, we revised the policy. Now they are meeting this morning, 11 o'clock, to say and do this from our Ebola. And I reached out. So I'm doing that remotely every day. And in fact, on the one hand, I'm working with a group in the US. We'll soon be sending some things to the country. So I'm not doing that. I've started, before even asking me, I'm only doing the support. So when that time comes and I'm asked, I will consider it to see. But I'm telling you right now, even as I'm here remotely, I'm there and there working on this, doing all the analysis, reading and working with the team in Liberia, helping them to help the response. Because like I said, if we don't do anything, it will be your brother, it will be my brother, it will be your best friend, it will be my best friend. So wherever we are as Liberian, I'm committed to doing that. I've gone to really create awareness and promotion, and I will do this anytime. So I'm supporting now, and we'll continue to support the response. Our country can get back to stability and will get protected.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mosoka Fallah, for accepting our invite this morning. Finally, is there anything you wanted to touch on just quickly because of time that we didn't ask you?
I'm begging my people, it's unusual time. Papa and Mama, it's not normal time. Those around the people are dying today. It's not normal. Please wear your masks. If you don't have to be in a group, don't go. And for all parties this time, we've been in too much pain in our country. For the war, Ebola, now they 1 year. Let's try to protect our people from dying. Someone said to me, if we continue this rate, we will not have any more old person in Liberia. Even those who are old, protect them the most. Stay home if you don't have to be out. Wear your mask. When people come visit, let them sit in the living room, outside in the piazza, and you talk with your mask. Protect yourself. Wash your hand. Put your bucket and make sure you get soap there. Protect yourself. Because the life you save will be yours. I'm begging you people. Let's do this. And for our government, thank you for the work we're doing. But please try your best. Enforce the social distancing and masks. Try your best and get testing. Work with the local communities, and we can defeat this COVID. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mosoka P. Fallah, former Director General, National Public Health Institute of Liberia, and a Liberian scientist, was our guest this morning on the show. We're talking health-related issues, and I think you listened very well to some of those ones you was not even thinking about listening to. You listened to it this morning. It was very, very friendly and very educative this morning. I am humble to have Dr. Mosoka Fallah as my guest this morning. A few days back, we had Dr. Rockefeller Cooper, a forensic and death investigator, as our guest on the show here, and he provided lots of education for us here. This is all the time we have for you this morning. Thanks so much for following us. Thanks to all of you for sending your comments. Dr. Fallah will go through the comments and respond to them as well. I want to say thanks to Dr. Cooper for also putting in his calls and making some very important points. Thanks to the technical team here. My boy Ransford Brown is always there making sure that we can come to you and discuss those issues that matters. Until tomorrow, we're going to be here. Hopefully, we'll be having Madam Janice as our guest. She's an American. She will be our guest here on tomorrow to discuss health-related issues, but we'll be doing some comparison with the global health system, in particular America in particular, and she'll be giving us her stern on the way Liberians. She was here sometime way back, and she follows some of the way Liberians, can proceed. She'll be giving us her own takes on the way Liberia should engage this rebirth of COVID. Until tomorrow, I'm bidding you a pleasant rest of the Monday from Liberia. My name is Amos Thomas Momo. Bye-bye.
We are Project Liberia, Mama Liberia. Must all rise. Let's stand together to fight Corona.